Hi, I'm Vibrine Samuels and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology, where I give you my textured take on the world of astrology. Happy New Year! I know we're 9 days in, but I'm wishing you a fantastic 2020 and beyond. Well, the world has woken up to the fantastic news of Meghan and Harry deciding to give up their senior roles and responsibilities to actually lead the life that is aligned to who they are as people. So I describe this as a stunning assertion of personal power, which really fits within the context of what's going on astrologically. So as we know, it's 2020 now, and the major configuration that the astrological world and those beyond it have been looking towards is this conjunction between Saturn and Pluto, which actually takes place on the 12th of January, when Saturn will be at 22 degrees 41 minutes and Pluto will be at 22 degrees 46 minutes. So that's the actual conjunction, but the conjunction started from 22 degrees on Monday. So what a day, what a kind of transformational moment that Britain and the world is observing and participating within. And it is a stunning assertion because it speaks to Saturn and Pluto. So the royal family and the monarchy and everything representative of it is shown by Saturn. Saturn in Capricorn. It's very much a signature of the royal family. Saturn is very much at home in Capricorn, but it's come up against Pluto. And Pluto is about, you know, the death and rebirth and transformation. And they both have passed over the South Node in Capricorn. So there's lots of transformation, but actually the renouncing of their positions is speaking to giving up the tried, the stayed and the tested to actually be who they are. And the world has been moving towards this, you know, people right around the world, this sense of authenticity and recognizing your own authenticity, then using it as leverage to do even greater things for yourself and for others. So I took a look at their charts this morning, and it's no surprise, the decision that they've made is no surprise because it's shown up in their charts. I just wanted to take this time to step through some of the things I uncovered that speaks to this great conjunction between Saturn and Pluto that culminates on January the 12th. So let's look at Capricorn, because actually there's a stellium of planets in Capricorn currently. So we have the Sun there, which is forming part of this lunar eclipse. The Sun is in Capricorn and the Moon is in Cancer. So there's this full moon lunar eclipse with the Sun in Capricorn. Alongside the Sun we have the South Node, we have Mercury, we have Jupiter, we have Saturn and Pluto. So Capricorn for January is very, very busy, and it's busy in transformation. It's busy about really not even shaking the tree, but literally unearthing the foundations of your life. And actually, if you've been working on yourself and observing yourself and becoming more conscious of yourself, you would have noticed, certainly over the last 18 months or so, as we've been moving towards this, if you've been honestly doing the work, then you know with the South Node position that's gone through and coming to the end of Capricorn, it is about change, it is about transformation. And so the South Node is currently at 8 degrees. So we're having this echoing of death and rebirth and transformation. And that's what Meghan and Harry are doing. So Meghan's chart, she has, her rising sign is Cancer. And it's at 24 degrees of Cancer. Is her rising sign, and the rising sign covers Cancer and Leo. So at 24 degrees there's this worldliness, but also more importantly the concept of home is central to who she is, because it's her first house, and with all of our ascendants or our rising signs, it's the face we present to the world, it's how we walk through the world, what's meaningful to us as we then transition towards our sons. So she has her ascendant in Cancer, 24 degrees. Then she has her North Node at 1 degree of Leo, and so that gives you an Aryan quality. And she also has her sun in Leo at 12 degrees. So 12 degrees gives the Capricornian energy. So with all of this taking place within the first house, there is an intrinsic aspect of who she is. She has to take control of her own life, her own identity, unapologetically. It's in Leo, and it's not overshadowed, but it's got a carapace of Cancer. So this care and compassion about what's meaningful to her. The concept of home is really important. Now, she was born in Los Angeles, she's lived in Canada, and she's lived here in the UK. So the sense of the world can be her home, and there can be this fluidity, hence why in their announcement they said they'd be spending part of the time here and part of the time in America. Or North America, I should say. Interestingly, the genetic chart of America is Cancer. So there is this very much a pull, a natural kind of flow with America, given that her ascendant is there. So she has to be who she is. She has her sun in the first house, and where you have your sun in angular houses, here is somebody who has to take control and is driven to make their own money. You know, if you've got your sun in the 1st, 4th, 7th and 10th and the 2nd, you will naturally be drawn to making your own money. In their statement, they talk about the sense of being financially independent away from royalty. I think what will give them even more kudos, I think it's brilliant what they've done, but what will give them even more kudos is if they give up their titles, and so they can truly be who they are. But, you know, hats off to them. You know, so if you've got your sun in those positions, driven to establish yourself, establish your own identity. Before she came into the royal family, she'd already done that, so she's used to making her own money. Her sun's at 12 degrees, so there's this sense of gravitas which she had. She was very established as an actress, with her sun in Leo, speaks to that so fluidly. At the same time that we've got all of these planets going through Capricorn, we also have Uranus at 2 degrees retrograde going through Taurus. It's going direct in a couple of days' time. So where you have planets at 2 degrees is a special signature, it's a special degree, whereby, you know, whatever you focus on, you could actually become the absolute best at. Interestingly, in her chart, Uranus at 2 degrees sits in her 10th house, which squares her node in Leo at 1 degree. So we've observed her inattention, we've seen her interviewed, we've seen how distressing, you know, the media backlash has been against her, unwarranted, and so this inattention between, you have the 10th house, you're standing in the public world, it's got Uranus there, so that could be shocks and surprises. The news today over the last 24 hours clearly has shocked some people. So with the transiting Uranus squaring her north node in Leo, there was this constant tension. And with squares, you've got to act on them because it's coming from the inside. It's that recognition between who you're seen as out in the world and who you really are. A tension that has to be resolved, which it clearly has. What else is going on? I just think it's so juicy. And so the sense of making money, the sense of having her own identity, the sense of home and what it means to her, the sense of family, and wanting to kind of balance it all, I just think hats off to her. In terms of Harry, same thing again. He has his ascendant in Capricorn, so they naturally oppose and balance each other. Her rising sign is Cancer, his is Capricorn. So we have two people in relationship who are whose rising signs are cardinal signs. So these are two people that once they've made a decision, that's it. They will take action on it. So Harry's rising sign is at 11 degrees of Capricorn. So 11 degrees is representative of Aquarius and Uranus. So this sense of suddenness, breaking free, you know, wherever Uranus and its signature is, it's, you know, the rebel. Where do we all need to be the rebel in our own lives? And clearly, given that it's 11 degrees of Capricorn, so here he is challenging the very foundation of his life, the institution he was born into, because the monarchy is represented by Capricorn. You know, it's an institution that has been there, you know, for centuries. Now, his sun is at 22 degrees of Virgo. Virgo is another earth sign. The earth sign of Capricorn has this big stellium of, you know, Saturn Conjunct Pluto, the South Node, Jupiter, as well as the Sun, as well as Mercury and, did I say Jupiter? Yeah, I think I said Jupiter. So we've got this major stellium that's transiting through his first house. Now with the South Node there, as well as Pluto there, and the conjunction that's coming up in a few days' time, life couldn't remain as it once was. Also, with the Sun, his natal Sun, trining Pluto, conjunct Saturn. So here we have, where you have the Sun conjunct, the Sun trining Pluto. It's this very, it's a fortifying way to ground your identity. The way you once understood yourself and the way that you now understand yourself are completely different. So it's a very fluid way for him to assert the man he understands himself to be. And that need is far greater than the expectations of society as well as his family and the monarchy at large. So Sun trine Pluto, this is about somebody who understands his own gravitas, his identity, he's done his transformation, and will unapologetically live the life he wants to live. And that's so clearly signatured in his chart. They talk about financial independence, and for both of them, they never have to worry about can they pay the gas bill or the light bill. The reason being, we know that Harry's born into wealth. And as he steps away from it, he equally has a very strong signature in his natal chart that, you know, money will just come. And the reason for that is because he has Neptune in Sagittarius in the 12th house, and it's conjuncting, it's in an outer sign conjunction with Jupiter in Capricorn at 2 degrees. So the signature of 2 degrees, Jupiter deals with money, it's abundance, and where you have Jupiter conjunct Neptune, there's just this inherent knowing that you're going to make money. I've looked at a number of wealthy people or high profile people in terms of, you know, the signature for success. In fact, I will do an episode around that. So the signature for making a lot of money is there in his chart. Now his North Node is at 29 degrees of Taurus. 29 degrees is another degree that signifies wealth, or the capacity for wealth or special things to happen. It's his North Node, so the direction and growth for him in this life will be about Taurian things. So it's about how does he ground himself. It could be that part of the entrepreneurial venture could be about property. It could be about how we tend to the earth. He'll have some type of relationship with how we live in the world. But what's more prominent is the fact that his North Node is conjuncting the cusp of Gemini. Now Gemini deals with the mind because it's ruled by Mercury, and we know that Harry has a deep involvement in terms of mental health, mental well-being, and he's already in a partnership with Oprah. And I think the partnership falls within Apple, where they're going to be talking about and sharing resources and ideas and programs around mental well-being. So what we're seeing is Harry living out the foundations of the things he believes in. Also, with Neptune conjunct Jupiter, with Neptune being in Sagittarius, as part of his, the financial independence, it could be about him having his own production company, or they have a production company. Championing their causes, the things that really interest them, and spreading that message right around the world, because we've got the double Jupiter and Sagittarius signature there. So the news that Harry and Meghan have asserted, I just love it, they've just asserted unapologetically about who they are, the direction they need to lead their individual lives, their collective lives, as husband and wife and partners, and then as parents. I think it is fantastic. So if you want any indication as to, you know, we're at the start of a new decade and what this decade can look like, just take a look at Saturn Conjunct Pluto and the, you know, public demonstration shown by these two, who are quite fearless, which I love. So for you, in your own personal chart, what does this mean for you? You know, the South Node is in Capricorn, so the ways in which you have been living your life that are clearly out of alignment with who you are have just got to stop. You know, the conjunction takes place between Saturn and Pluto on Sunday, that's the 12th of January, and there's no looking back. There really is no looking back. So if you haven't started to do the work, I encourage you strongly, with an emphasis on stop lying to yourself, reclaim your personal power and lead the life that you really want to lead. We can see other examples of this that have been, you know, building up towards this point. So if we think about Brexit, we all know what's happened with Brexit, so that's a separation of powers, you know, Britain separating from the EU. We also have climate change, you know, the phenomenal climate change movement that's led by the very inspirational Greta Thunberg. She equally has her sun in Capricorn at 12 degrees. I don't know the time of her birth, but I've had a look at her chart. So here is somebody who understands how to take charge and claim her personal power. And she did it by challenging governments. When she had her placard and she went to the Swedish government and sat outside, and we all know what's happened since then. So she's another fantastic example of leading from the front based on the things you truly believe in, and if it goes against the status quo, even better. We've seen the rising up of Australian people, the terrible, devastating bushfires that are taking place, the way they challenged their Prime Minister in terms of how he initially handled it, and seems how he's continuing to handle it. People are recognising, you know, governments, the role of government is being severely tested, as it should be. What else? Other examples? Oh, two from the world of art that for me have left an indelible print on me. If we look at art, using art as a form of activism, two things immediately that come to mind that in my 56 years I just think stunning pieces, absolutely stunning pieces of work are Hamilton and When They See Us. So Hamilton, fortunately I was able to go on opening night, which was sensational. So if we think about Hamilton, Hamilton is the story of the founding fathers of America told by the America of today. And so if you haven't seen Hamilton, you must. It's populated by black, brown and white people. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal piece of storytelling. So here we have the challenging of who shows up. Yeah, who tells the story, who leads the story, we're seeing that. I'm contrasting that, but they sit within the same vein of using art and activism, is the stunning, stunning, stunning portrayal of the Exonerated Five story in Ava DuVernay's epic and epochal When They See Us. So I don't watch TV, but over the Christmas holidays I was able to watch the series, gripped from beginning to end. Parts of it I couldn't watch, but nonetheless, here we have the phenomenal power of storytelling that these five men were able to reclaim their power in such a profound, public and transformative way. The story is just sensational. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend, you must watch When They See Us. Now, that whole story, it's taken 30 years for the truth of these men's stories to come out, and it toppled the chief prosecutor, Linda Fairstein, thank goodness. So she was run off of social media. So here again, When They See Us is a direct confrontation towards, you know, the power structures, the powers that be, and clearly we're dealing with the New York police department. So, you know, the toppling of Linda Fairstein and the rising of the Exonerated Five is another brilliant example of how we're seeing, you know, Saturn Conjunct Pluto being played out. And it's Earth, so it's very practical. It's not, you know, theoretical things. You can theorise and you can pontificate about changes that may happen. What we're seeing with Saturn going through Capricorn alongside Pluto is that we're seeing tangible changes taking place, and who are leading the changes are people like you and me, which is fantastic. So beautiful, people. That's my opening for 2020. That gives you an insight in terms of the tone of the year and possibly for the decade, but it is really about this separation of powers. You know, last decade, in 2010, we were still in the kind of ice storm of the economic downturn, and the mistrust of people in power started way back then. Now, here we are, beginning 2020s. You know, what is going to be the tone of your 2020? How are you going to reclaim yourself, particularly with Pluto? Pluto is about transformation, and when it forms the exact conjunction on Sunday, 22 degrees, it's about the death and the rebirth. Which part of your life needs to die in order for you to be reborn with gravitas? That's the question I will leave you with. If you've got any comments, put them in the comment box below. You know, I always love to connect with you. Look forward to bringing you more astrology. I've just been going through my own transformation in terms of retraining as a software engineer. I'm coming, hopefully, towards the end of my assessment, so I'm feeling really proud about that, hence why I've been a little bit absent, but one must take care of oneself first. So I practice the astrology that I also share with you. So wishing you a really stunning, I think that's one of my words for 2020, is stunning. Yes, stunning 2020, where you can stand in your truth and lead your life from the front. So stay well, and I will see you soon on the next episode. Bye.